Hello, my internet friends. So right now I am working on um, my session for Tech Learn. I still haven't decided what makes the list of the 20 gameful tools yet. I know I'll end up with more than 20, and that's fine. I like to give people a little extra, or as we would say in New Orleans, a little lagniappe. Um, but I thought I would talk for a minute. I want to make some notes about why in some of the categories that I'm going to talk about, I have multiple tools that seem to do the same thing. Like why would I want multiple things that do the same thing? And isn't that redundant or whatever? And so I'm just going to give a quick example. And these are just three. I don't even know if all three of these will, I'm sure, well, I'll probably stay on the list, but I don't know if I'll talk about all of them and in the session. But here's what I mean by this. So I'm going to just pull up three here. Um, so I have three three tools here that um, they all basically are participant audience interaction polling type things. And if you've used them, hey, let me know if you like them or what you like about them. And I'm not going to do a deep dive on each of these. I might do videos of them separately if anybody says, hey, I'm really interested in that one, or I've never heard of that and I'd like to learn more. That's cool. The first one, I think, mm, I keep thinking it's more widely known, and then I run into a group of people and they're like, oh, I've never used this before. This is great. So the first one is Mentimeter. And if you haven't used Mentimeter before, again, polling app, it's got a nice interface. It has some different um, uh, types of polls that you don't see as much. I kind of like the design of it for a lot of things. Again, I'm happy to talk more about it separately. But one thing I haven't seen people talk about so much with Mentimeter, and it's a feature that it has that some other polling apps have and some don't. And it's a consideration when you're talking about this sort of thing, would be, do you need synchronous, asynchronous, or maybe both? And so the example I was going to give, which I have not seen people do as much, maybe I'll inspire more people to do it, but most people just use Mentimeter live within a presentation, which is great. And so you get the results, get people to vote on their phone, and you get the live results. And that is, I would say, 90% of the time, that's how I use it as well. But it does actually have two modes. They have presenter mode, but they also have what they call survey mode. So my suggestion, I'm just curious if anybody has used it this way. I tried it one time, it worked well. I probably will do it again if the situation arises. But run the polling, the live polling, as you normally would. And then at the end, on the last slide, gave them a separate QR code. And if you've used Mentimeter, it gives you a little an 8-digit code for to get into the polling. Gave them a different code, and that one was set to survey mode, which meant they could advance the slides or the screens on their own as opposed to presenter, where the presenter is in control of that situation. Um, so it was set to survey. It's called survey mode, but basically it can be used as, in the case I did, an assessment. So after a presentation, you could actually run a little assessment in the same uh, world, the Mentimeter space, right there on their phones. You could have them do a quick little assessment thing, or you could have something that they take with them, and they can review some concepts later, or maybe it gives them some additional information, because again, now they have control of it. It would have a designated time period. It would time out after a certain period of time, whatever you designated. Um, but I thought it was kind of a cool thing to kind of mix and match sort of the live experience with something they could take away. Or conversely, I could have done like a a pre thing. I could have had them do something on their own before they came to the session. So again, just mix and matching. You would have to create two separate Mentimeters, but because one has to be set for presenter and one has to be set for the other, but very easy to stitch that together. So that's just a feature that not all polling things have. So this is why I say sometimes I need multiple apps that do basically the same thing, because they all have features that are slightly different. Another example of that is slides with friends that you see on the screen. And this one I have not seen nearly as many people use. And again, not doing a full explanation of it, but there's two features in this one that I really like, that when you need them, I don't see them in other tools as much. So the first one is, if I have a really large group of people, obviously, you can have them answer questions. And if it's something that's just sort of a bar graph kind of answer, it can collate, most any tool can collate those answers. But if you want like actual answers, or even better, if I want them to submit like a photo, it's, this is more maybe the beginning of a big event, a big conference, a big organizational meeting or something, and you're trying to get people kind of just into the vibe of it and just kind of excited about what's going on. So maybe you have them take selfies and then they submit their selfies or whatever, or picture their favorite animal. I don't know. Depends on what you're trying to accomplish with any of these. You always have to remember, what's my goal of using any type of tool, any type of interaction, and who is my audience? What's that like? But with slides with friends, what you can do is you can designate, as the person creating the session, you can designate, okay, maybe there's 100 people in the workshop or in the meeting and submitting things, but when I reveal the answers, it's only going to show 5 random answers. So now we have put a little bit of chance and mystery and excitement into it. And I can tell you from the events I have seen it used at, people get really, really like, oh my gosh, I hope mine comes up. Or like, people are like rooting for rooting for their picture to show up. And it's just it's a different experience that I don't see in a lot of polling things. I think it's a really cool, there's a lot you could do with that type of thing. It could be also just with questions, if people are submitting questions. And so it randomly pulls out 3 questions from the audience or whatever. You could, again, whatever your imagination comes up with. But it's just that the functionality is slightly different than I've seen in many of these other tools. So that's something to consider. I also think this is nice when you have a really large group. Certain tools work better with a small group or a large group. This one actually works with any size group. I know some people who use it for like small distributed teams, just to kind of have some little trivia and fun things that they do at the beginning of meetings and things like that. So it could be used for lots of things. The other thing that it does that is kind of cool is they have a polling feature where everybody in the group can submit answers to a particular prompt, a particular question, can put in their kind of brainstorm and put in their answers. And then the host can just go to the results screen basically. And on that screen, everybody gets to vote on the answers. So having that sort of that live creation of the answers that people are voting on, that's very cool. That's not something that I see in all polling apps. So if that was functionality that I needed, then this is a different tool. And then finally, the last one that I threw on here, again, and I'm not saying that anybody should ever use any of these tools. My hope, and this is what I'm going to tell people at the workshop, my hope really is that by introducing people to some of these tools and kind of talking through them like I'm doing today, that people will start to think differently about how they're using their tools and what the possibilities are. And looking at the tools they already have, you might not need a new tool, but just looking at what the possibilities are and considering ways that you might use things differently. So this last one, Polly, this one, its strength is really, it doesn't exist until you create a question. These other ones are more persistent. I have to set them up ahead of time. They sit there. The questions are, kind of preset and ready. This one, I can just pull it up. It's a little web-based web-based platform, and I can just open it and I can just type in a question, and boom, I have an instant poll. And people then can vote on it, and it has a little, it has some other functionality. But again, a different consideration. Generally, when we think about polling, we think about things that have already been set up ahead of time. But this is a very different thing. Maybe there's a setting where you have a group of people and you're brainstorming or something, and suddenly you want to like kind of send that out, test out some questions, and just on the fly, you create the question and you share the link out with, maybe it's on social media, maybe it's to a, intranet, whatever, and you get some instant feedback based on some question. So again, a very same underlying technology of we're polling, we're asking people for responses, but there's a lot of different ways that that looks and can take place. And so, and again, these are just three. I could have listed a whole gazillion more polling tools, and I'm not saying, again, no preference here. I don't get paid by any of these people, although if they wanted to, that's cool too. um, but I don't actually I have no affiliate relationships with any of these tools. I just wanted to kind of talk about the difference, give some ideas again of how, take your tools and really spend some time thinking about the functionality, and also revisiting functionality, because as we know with software, it's constantly being updated. And so it may have some new features. Like maybe I go into Mentimeter next week and they have two new polling types or something. It could be anything. So, also just kind of stay current with that with your tools. If you have a collection of tools in your toolbox, it's certainly a good idea to periodically check back in with them, see what's new. And sometimes there's like some really fun golden little nuggets in there, and you don't want to miss out on that. So anyway, that's my thoughts. If you have a favorite polling tool, or you've used one of these, or you try one of these out now, let me know. Let me know how it goes. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you didn't like, because I get people ask me all the time, like about different tools and things like that. And I try to give them the best answer I can give them. So I'll see you next time. Bye.